Now, as some of you may already know, or may not know, my birthday was last Friday. And as a little treat for myself, for all my hard work and making it another year alive, hopefully many more to come. Bad joke, I'm so sorry. I ordered myself a Nintendo Switch 2. And I just recently finished transferring everything from my original Switch onto the Nintendo Switch 2. Meaning that I also just finished formatting the thing in hopes of trading it in. And I was thinking, why not turn it back on for the first time again, for the last time, after having the system for around 7-ish years, I want to say. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, I have both consoles propped up on my dresser. Nintendo Switch 2 right here. Original Switch right there. I've had that console for approximately 7.5-ish years. I got it in late 2018, and it has been the only Switch variant that I have since. Sorry. Right off the bat, hold on, let me prop it onto my bed. Right off the bat, and this is going to be a very obvious observation, but the Switch 2 is significantly bigger than the original Switch. I don't know the exact measurements. I will put them somewhere in the video once I edit it and do proper research on it, because I did not do any research on it prior to this. However, what I do know, it is both big in size, power, and storage capacity. The Switch 2 sits at a whopping 235 gigabytes of internal storage. The original Switch only had 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Wait, how big games are? Honestly, I'm so glad this comes with more internal storage, because this one, you can only download like 2 or 3 games before you need to get an SD card, which is absolutely nuts. Also, again, it is incredibly big. It is incredibly big, like big, and it has a lot of heft to it. It feels very it feels heavy on the hand, not in a way where my hands get numb. I need my camera to focus. Not in a way that my hand feels numb, but it is incredibly heavy. It's significantly heavier, and also very okay. Digressing a little bit. While talking about how it feels on the hand, I love the matted finish the Switch 2 has compared to the glossy, kind of like plasticky feel of the original. It has like the sheen to it. It's very small, very glossy. This one, I love the matted finish. Don't like the lack of color though. I know they still have the iconic neon blue and neon red going on, like at the bottom and in the inside of the Joy-Cons. But that's just it. I want more color in my Nintendo system. And going back to the size of the system, this thing is huge. For comparison, here's a Wii U gamepad. Yes, I have a Wii U system. I bought it in 2024. May or may not be working on a video talking about my experiences with the system. I have this for a whole year. Anyway, but yeah, for comparison, this is the Wii U gamepad compared to the Switch 2. This thing, look at how big this thing is. While a Wii U gamepad, yes, it is. Well, the Wii U gamepad is significantly thicker than the Switch 2. This thing is longer and wider than the Wii U gamepad. It is insane. Anyway, now before we turn on, currently, okay, yes. Ooh, this is gonna be controversial. Yes, I did complain online about Nintendo's decisions regarding the system. Also, I forgot to add it. This is completely unscripted. This is unscripted. If I make any mistakes, I will fix them all in editing. Don't worry about that. Anyways, yes, I do have issues, many issues with the system. How, one, a very known one, they can break it at any point if they notice that you modified your system in some way, which is absolutely stupid and very anti-consumer. We are not gonna get into the conversation right now, but it is a very dumb decision. However, Nintendo was Nintendo. They've been doing this forever. If you modify your system and they detect it, they're going to be on your ass. They're gonna be on you for that. But yeah, how they really only want you to play and use their products. No, very little third-party support, like third-party cameras or third-party microphones. Very little you can use before they can detect it and brick your console. Oh yeah, they can brick your console remotely. Very fucked up. Again, we're not gonna get into that. I do not like any of these decisions and many more. I read the terms and conditions very carefully, and while I do understand some of their points, most of them, specifically them making your console unusable if they notice even the slightest bit of modification onto your system, it's absolutely crazy. It is genuinely crazy. But even with all those complaints and issues, I cave in because I grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo has been there for as long as I remember. My very first Nintendo console was a GameCube. My very first Nintendo handheld was a Game Boy Advance. Then I had the Game Boy Advance SP. Then I had a Nintendo DS Lite, Nintendo DSi. I skipped over the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. My next Nintendo console was the Wii. And then I got my Nintendo Switch late 2018, and I got the Nintendo Switch 2 a month after it came out. So yeah, not to say that I did not experience any other consoles. I played on the Nintendo 64 many times at my cousin's house, at my grandmother's house. Yeah, I played Super Mario 64, Smash Brothers for the 64, Mario Party on the 64, many other games on the 64. The GameCube, one of my cousins had it. I grew up with it. I played Super Mario Sunshine. That was my very first Mario game ever on a console. And Mario Kart Double Dash. I played on a Wii U. Saw people that owned it. The Wii, I got it like very late into its life. But yeah, I grew up with the Wii as well. So yeah, I experienced consoles. I didn't own all of them, but I did experience the consoles. And the majority of the consoles that I have owned were Nintendo consoles. So, I was eventually at one point going to buy the Nintendo Switch 2. And like someone said online, I don't remember exactly the video, but someone said online, I'm gonna buy the system, but only for the Nintendo exclusives. Any other game that I want to play, I'm gonna probably play it on other... Focus. I'm gonna play it on my PS5 or literally... I don't know. I'm gonna get this console just for the exclusives. And despite all the issues that I have with it, I want this console to succeed. I don't want the Nintendo Switch 2 to end up being a Wii U situation. And we all know that Nintendo has a track record of releasing one successful console, then releasing a console that does not do that well, then releasing another successful console, and continuing this pattern. I want the Switch 2 to succeed. I want the Switch 2 to break the curse. Please, God... The Switch 2 is already a very big step up from what the Switch already established. And I wanted to do better. I wanted to do better. I wanted to succeed. I need this console to succeed as the Nintendo fan that I am. Yes, I have my gripes with the company, but at the end of the day, I'll still love them and their games. Not gonna support every single decision that they make. We're not gonna do that. Maybe 10-year-old me will be up at everybody's face talking bad about the Switch 2. But I just turned 24, and I know and experience and understand that a lot of these decisions that they're making are very bad for both the company and the consumer. And I really want Nintendo to do better. I want this console to succeed. I really want this console to succeed. I need this console to succeed. I need them to break the curse of releasing a very good console and then a failure. I don't want a Wii U situation again. I really don't. Anyways, I digressed enough. You are not the star of the show. You are. I had this since 2018, since late 2018. 7 years into its life, I mean, not 7 years. 8 years. Fuck. I'm running out of breath. 8 years into its lifespan. But the console itself, I had it for 7 years. 7 years, I followed everything. Every update, every Nintendo Direct, every Nintendo Treehouse, every Nintendo Minute, everything. I followed this thing. I followed it from the beginning of its life all the way to the release of the Switch 2. And now that I transferred everything onto this system, it was time for me to pull the plug on it. I'm getting very sentimental because really God, my throat is dry, holy crap. Sorry. Because really, while essentially the Switch 2 is a bigger Switch, hopefully it becomes much more than that, and I know it's gonna be much more than that. And I'm very attached to this system. I'm not ready to let go of it just yet, but I know that it's gonna be time to let it go. And in that time seems to be now. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and turn the Switch back on for the first time, one last time. Had this console since 2018, and I just pulled the plug on it in 2025. Resetted the whole thing. It's back to its factory settings. Joy-Con's drifting like hell, but that doesn't matter. I am not ready for this. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to prop it on the dock and turn it on in my TV, but I feel like for the most authentic feel, I would, turn it back on tabletop mode. Also, because I have all of my consoles already set up on my TV, and going through all those cables is gonna be absolute hell. And also because I don't have a capture card yet. So, we're gonna turn the Nintendo Switch back on for the first time. For one last time. Here we go. There we go. Ooh, that never gets old. I genuinely do not remember the Switch having any music when you first started up. Maybe they added it recently, but I honestly don't remember. Hold on, I'm gonna detach the remotes so it's easier for me to like set it up. Give me a minute. Okay. I propped up my phone so I can actually properly use the Joy-Con and the Joy-Con grip. We are gonna go ahead and set this up. I feel like a child again. Baby's first Switch. English. There it goes. We are not reading that. Where is New York? Right here. Date. What time is it? Hold on. It is 10:23. All right. Connect to the TV. We're gonna do that later. Yeah, this part I'm glad I did it in advance because this part would have told me to take the Joy-Cons off of the system, and I did not want to go. I did not want to do all that. That's too time consuming. The sound effects. I'm gonna no. We're not adding another user to the system. We're not doing parental controls. We are grown enough. Setup complete. Press the home button to open the home menu. SD card when effective resetted the system. Also, holy crap, it got fingerprints galore. Oh my god. It feels crazy. Like, it feels so nostalgic, like, genuinely. There's nothing on this system anymore, dude. Nothing. No friends. Sad. No data. Nothing. No games. It's like a newborn baby. But yeah. I enjoyed this system. I enjoyed it a lot. The time that I spent with it. It has been 7 long years. But it's time for me to say goodbye to the system. We are gonna go and format it again because I want someone out there to like experience the system. You know, I want to actually no. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it because that is way too much work. It's way too much work. We're gonna leave it like that. Yeah, look at that. White, wrong button. White clean. It is a homunculi. Look at that. Look at that. Oh damn, I was wrong. It wasn't 30. It was 20. It wasn't 30. It's 25.9 gigabytes of data. Jesus Christ, that is disgusting. Even for a console. Wow. You can only download like 1 or 2 games, and then you need to get an SD card to download even more. That's crazy. Well, Switch 1, it was fun. Thank you for the memories. I'm gonna turn you off now. Also, fun fact, I had to use my 3DSs to prop my thing up because I don't have a tripod. Also, yeah, I'm a Genshin Impact fan. Look at my Hootao stickers. I'm a Hootao main, in case you didn't know. A Hootao main. Yeah, anyways. Currently in the process of packing the Switch back into its box. Like I'm packing up a suitcase. Yeah, I kept the packaging. I'm so glad I did. Hopefully got a little bit more. I doubt it, but anyway, I'm gonna put my phone down because this is gonna take a minute. I quite frankly don't have the HDMI cable for the console anymore. I lost it, unfortunately, but hopefully whoever ends up buying it has a spare HDMI cable. And also, for proof that I did have it for almost 7 years now, the date is right here. 11/2/2018. I had this console, yeah, for almost 7 years now. Yep. It feels so unreal saying goodbye to this, considering I followed this console for a really long time. Since the beginning of the console all the way to the end. But, you know, like always, all good things come to an end. And this is just one of these things. Now it's time for me to enjoy the Switch 2. And hopefully it does better than the Wii U. And it succeeds. Again, I don't want a Wii U situation. I really don't. I want it to succeed. I want the Switch to succeed. And I want Nintendo to do better. I want you to do better, you fucking Alright, I'm also throwing in my original Nintendo Switch carrying case. You know, that's a treat. Anyway, that's all. The Nintendo Switch came out 2017. It's an amazing console. Not groundbreaking by any means, but for what it set out to do and for what it did it, and it did it amazingly. An amazing library, amazing third-party support. The online is a bit, and a lot of the decisions Nintendo made to the system is questionable, are very questionable. The lack of themes, awful. No music, feels very corporate, not very Nintendo. But yeah, for what it set out to do, it did a good job. If anything, this felt like a prototype, and the Switch 2 feels like the actual console. Because the Switch 2 is literally building upon the original Switch's foundation. So hopefully, from what they learned through this system, they improve it upon on the Switch 2. I'm gonna miss you. I'm going to miss you. Thank you for the memories. And now it's time to say goodbye.